I took some enhancement for it. I gave it a little bit of a color touch up. And if you're on the live right now and looking at it, you can see that it's popping.
That's great. That's great. I've just been informed by my producer here that I screwed one thing up. We're definitely live now on YouTube. We missed Julia's intro. So Julia, I'll just go back to you in a second. Okay. All right, Scott Smith, how are you doing in Michigan?
Turn that down. I'm great. The sea level suits me much better than the altitude. So runs have felt much better than they had in the past. So I'm excited. I haven't stayed with Roy for a workout.
Nice. Fauble, how you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm good. No complaints.
I'll go back to Julia. What do you think of these mustaches?
I fully support the mustaches. I'm not sure their wives and fiancés do, but it's been a fun, entertaining week to see the evolvement from beard to mustache to Rory's a little bit tinted mustache.
That's great. That's great. Boys, are these staying for race day?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like 85% sure.
His mustache is staying.
I like it. Well, this is great. Okay, I'm glad to see you guys. First of all, we put this together pretty quickly, but hopefully we get some people live. If you're watching live on YouTube, please feel free to drop any sort of comments, questions in the chat. We will certainly get to them if we can. I see some people are on now, so appreciate you joining us. I thought maybe we'd start with, why are you guys in Michigan? Just whoever wants to take that on. Rory.
Well, for me, I thought the big advantage was just to get over here early enough to adjust to the time zone. But since being here and seeing the forecast as we get a little bit closer, it also turns out that it's a perfect forecast practice going into Boston. We have pretty much the same weather down to humidity and degrees every day out here. And I think that'll benefit us well. And I think that there's something to be said for going away and going to sea level for the recovery and like focusing with people all getting ready for the same thing. Not that we don't love being at home in Flagstaff with our families, but there's some benefit to like that team camp vibe.
Yeah, I will.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'd echo that with, I really think it's a huge benefit coming from the altitude to the sea level humidity. Getting that sweat in that I haven't been, like, I'm not used to getting in Flagstaff has been an adjustment. And then, yeah, definitely the rest, the recovery, and getting away, getting your mindset, like focusing on the race early. I think that's huge as well.
Scott Fauble, why did we pick Rochester Hills?
I think we picked Rochester Hills because you used to live here, and we were here last year for the two races that the Hansons were like awesome enough to put on. So we sort of knew the area. There's a lot of good flat running, and we knew some physios in the area. So we've been able to get physical therapy and massage.
Yeah, you guys have been going to my old teammate, my old buddy, Clint Barron, right? He has Clint Barron Sports Medicine. They've been really wonderful to us. So if you're in Rochester and you need some PT or massage, Clint Barron Sports Medicine is the way to go. Scott Smith, so you said Stony Creek was nicer to you this time around, huh?
Yeah, much better this time around than last time I was out there. But yeah, it's I haven't really spent much time out in these parts, and the running here is really good. So all the runs have been great so far.
Have you run on the Paint Creek Trail then most days, or where have you gone?
Oh, we're Paint Creek. What's the one we did yesterday?
Clinton River.
We went off Stony Creek for the long run to some dirt roads. Yeah, we're seeing it all. Probably not all, but a lot.
Excellent. All right, well, let's talk about a few other things. I've got a number of little items here and questions related to Boston and your preparation. Couple of questions about the the race obviously on Monday, and then we're going to finish up with Boston movie trivia. So I've spent most of the last 2 hours preparing the trivia, but we'll do some marathon stuff too. So all right, let's do this. During this trip, during this segment, not only are you coming to Michigan for sea level training right at the end, but we also took a trip out to Boston in August for some course recon. So who wants to tell us about that trip, why we did it, and what we learned?
I'll go since I'm the only one here that hasn't run the race before. It was strictly to see the course and get ready for what is one of the more dynamic and unpredictable courses in the world marathon major scene, at least in the US. So Boston is unlike any other because it's a net downhill course with some pretty big uphills. Once you get to 15 miles through 2021, the Newton Hills, as they're famously known. And we just wanted an opportunity to go out there and visualize and get ready for what will be on October 11th.
Julia, the last time you were there was 2018, like Scott Smith, although he also watched in 19. But in 18, you raced in the crazy year with the wind and the rain and the freezing temps. I remember on the course trip you saying that you didn't really remember much of it because of the weather. So do you feel like people who ran in 18 are going to get a whole different view of this course now?
Oh, 100%. When we were even there or did the long run, when we got to see most of the course, and we did like kind of a hard on the hills at the end there just to get some training in, that I didn't remember any of that in the race, just because I think the weather was so bad. I was focused on survival versus really looking at the course or paying attention to what I was doing. And by the end of it, I was so destroyed, I wasn't even comprehending what I was running. So I think it was like a brand new course for me when we were doing those 3 days here, kind of going over it. It was so like, yeah, I think anyone that ran in 2018 is going to be like, if you haven't seen the course since then, it's going to look and feel so different. At least that's the vibe I got when we were doing those training runs. It was like, this is something new that I hadn't ran before. So hopefully, yeah, with a different day, I was very glad we went back to pre-C and kind of know what to expect now. 2018 was not a good day for touring a course. And I don't think we had much crowd support that day either.
So Scott, you've been there many times, raced it each once, and toured the course a number of times. Scott Smith, what's your favorite part of the course? Your favorite section of the Boston Marathon?
Well, similar to Julia, like it's hard to single out one part of the course because I think it'd be easier if I ran it during a good year to really see the like different characteristics of the parts of the course. And but I guess to frame it the way that I'm looking forward to most, the part I'm looking forward to most is kind of the section right after the hills at Boston College, kind of that screaming downhill, hoping to have my legs under me there, and then really starting to attack the race is hopefully what will be my favorite part looking back at the end. But the finish, like, is always my favorite, like going and watching, it's just a really awesome, unique event.
Fauble, what's your favorite section?
I think I'm looking forward to most from the firehouse at 17.3 to getting over Heartbreak. I think that's the part, and a lot of it is like sort of a race strategy, but like I really want to be looking forward to that part because it's the hardest part, but it's also like it's where the race is made. It's where all the big moves happen. It's where the action happens, and there's awesome crowds along the way. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making that right turn at the fire station and hitting the last 3 Newton Hills.
Very nice. While we're still, there's a question. I'll get to questions along the way when they fit with the conversation. So
are people talking about Rory's mustache a lot in there?
Actually, there's one Rory question so far, which is, can anyone confirm or deny whether Rory is chatty on the long run?
Rory is always
Confirm.
chatty.
Next question.
Always chatty.
Not just on the long run, always. No, this person asked, do you have any tips on tempo effort, based with max heart rate in the low 190s when adding hilly effort? Would you set a max heart rate for Boston on the hills? I think maybe this crew, we don't do as much heart rate based training, but I think we could certainly discuss how to adjust your pace, which I think sort of goes hand in hand with heart rate when you're running on a hilly course. So let's say, guys, that we're getting ready. Scott may be able to answer this pretty well because we trained so much on hills for Atlanta for the trials. When you're purposefully running a hilly course in training to get ready for a hilly marathon, how do you adjust?
I personally, on hilly sections, I think we kind of fall into this trap that since it feels harder, we need to kind of lean into that and make it harder instead of kind of focusing on maintaining the same effort, because you may get through the hill faster that way. And it may feel good to like really push into the hill. But if you do that and you fry yourself coming off the hill, what did that really accomplish? You may crush it up the hill, but if you can't come off the hill and use the downhill to your advantage or get it back going once you're flat, it was kind of a useless use of effort. So I try to stay as relaxed as I can on hills. Obviously, like if a move is being made in those hilly sections of the Newton Hills, like you're going to have to focus and engage and really tough it out. But in training, I would kind of judge my effort as I would on the flat section. And if I can't get back on to the pace after the hill, then I probably ran it too hard.
Yeah, I think if you were equating that to heart rate, you would see a jump in heart rate when you're running uphill, of course. And I think that's okay. But what Scott's saying is you should keep your effort level similar. If you raise your effort level every time you hit an uphill, then your heart rate may get too high and it may be tough to get it back down. So you're really trying to keep that effort level the same. The heart rate will go up a little bit, but hopefully not too terribly much. Okay, so let's go to my next set of questions. Let's talk about this training segment for each of you individually, and I kind of have a little different question for each of you. So for Scott Fauble, this is probably a question you'll get asked at the press conference or from the media during the course of the week anyway. So maybe this is good practice, but how has this training segment on compared to 2019, which ended up with you finishing 7th and running 2:09:09?
Yeah, I think it was similar. It probably wasn't quite as flashy. I don't know that I had like in 2019, I had like numerous sessions that you could call a home run for sure. And in this one, I had one session that I really knocked out of the park, and only one session in the last like 17 or 18 weeks that I just couldn't finish, and everything in between they were really solid. So I think this one probably had less highs and lows, which I think I'm in a very similar spot going into this one. And I think I was much more, I took a longer view on this one. Like my goal going in was really to hit every session in the segment. And I think in 2019, there were some where it was like, I'm really going to crush this. And I had kind of reckless abandon, and that left me fried for like a couple of workouts afterwards or something, which isn't necessarily a sustainable way to train. So I think this one was more steady and probably more mature and probably more like globally focused, as opposed to kind of the aggression I had in 2019.
That's exactly what I said to Jonathan Galt yesterday from Let's Run. Similar take. Scott Smith, so talk about training for the marathon as you've gotten older. So as a veteran, of course, you've been through many marathon training segments. You've had a number of fantastic marathons in your career. But I think we joke on the team, not always necessarily in line with how good the segment was leading in. So now that you are a veteran and you've been through this many times, how have you adjusted training in preparation for a marathon as you've gotten older?
It's just much harder for me to train at the level that I used to. So I have had to learn to convince myself that just because I'm not hitting the same workouts I may have been able to hit even 2-3 years ago, it doesn't mean that I'm any less fit. I still ran those same workouts 2-3 years ago. Like they didn't just evaporate and disappear. It wasn't another guy that did that. I still did those. They're still in there. So the kind of what have told myself for the last couple marathon buildups where maybe they haven't gone the way that it would have if I was younger and recovered better, it is like exactly that. Those ones didn't go anywhere. If I can get to some sort of base level of fitness, that's what I need to convince myself that I have the mental tools, the toughness tools to navigate the race when it comes to still succeed at and perform at a high level. I may not be able to access all the physical tools in training that I used to be able to, but the longevity of my career, I think I have kind of, to belabor the analogy, like a wider toolbox that might not just be physical. I think there's other things I can reach for in there come race day.
Makes sense. Rory, they say, whoever they are, that people figure out the marathon their third time out. And there is a lot of evidence that a lot of the top marathoners have run their best marathon on their third one. It's not always the case, but now that you're going into your third one, talk a little bit about what you learned and how you've been able to take those lessons and apply it to this segment as you prepare for Boston.
Yeah, both of my first two marathons, first one, I was given a little bit of a abbreviated segment. I didn't have as many opportunities to really go for it. And I was just learning, and it was hard to just do the workouts. Like the workouts themselves were enough. The second time through, I was much more ambitious. It was for a time trial-esque race. And I was kind of fixated on running a time, and I was trying to force that time through training. And I wanted it really bad. And this segment specifically, I've learned enough from the first two marathons that all that really matters is that you're strong enough and calloused to the race, and mentally know what's going to happen, and so that you can take each punch as they come and adjust. And for me personally, I feel like it's not going to surprise me this time, and maybe that's foolish because it can always find a way to surprise you in some way or another. But I feel like after having done two, I'm pretty ready for most scenarios that could play out. And I've thought about the potential for multiple scenarios, and I feel like mentally I'll be in a place where there are no surprises. I know that it's going to be extremely hard at one point or another. It could be early, it could be late. And I know that I'm going to have to just trust in everything that I've done, and that those first two segments are still helping me, and I'm building upon those. And that these aren't independent acts. Like Scott Smith said, each one builds on itself. And I do feel like maybe third time is the charm for me. I feel a lot more prepared mentally and physically. And this segment was as good as any that I've had, or better. So I feel good about it.
Awesome. All right, Julia. So what has been the biggest challenge for you coming from St. Louis and sea level and the training you were doing there to a pro group and altitude and all these new training partners, high level training partners? What's been the biggest challenge? And then what have you learned? What's the biggest thing you've learned from some of the veterans on the team?
I would say the biggest challenge is letting go of paces. I did a lot of workouts and a lot of times, and then I come to altitude and I'm running 15, 20 seconds slower per mile, and it's hard. And I'm like trying to tell myself I didn't suddenly like become a slower runner. So that's really been like just not trying to focus on those. That's been hard. It's like focusing on the paces and the times and the splits, looking at all the numbers and trying to let go of that. And like, Ben, you've wrote some good workouts for me that I look at it on paper and I'm like, God, that is so slow. But then I have to take into account everything like the altitude adjustment and my time adjustment. And it's more about getting through the workout and feeling good versus hitting the exact times that I was hitting. There is that adjustment. And that's been, I think, mentally and physically a challenge, but learning. And that's something that a lot of the girls have helped with. Coming from St. Louis, I really just, I didn't train with other females. I trained with a bunch of guys. And now I have girls on this team that I just have like looked up to and have been in this sport a lot longer than I have. And I just have a lot to learn from them. So that's been really cool. And they always offer advice, like, don't play the comparison game. Like, I'm running, I can't compare what I'm running to what Steph, Alfie, and Kellen are running. And they say, hey, we all started somewhere. And that's something I've learned from all the girls, is just continuously like reminding yourself that you're your own person and you have your own path, and don't try and be the exact same as someone else. And I feel like the team's been supportive on reminding me that. And then like anything, they're like here to push you in the end, make you better. You can only learn from them. So that's been, I think, really helpful, is having them and watching some of the workouts they do and just seeing how they get through pain, because we all feel pain. So it's good to see everyone and how they mentally and physically get through it.
I'll stick with you for a second, because instead of asking everyone their race plans, which I don't really want to ask on this, I'll ask you what you're looking forward to about some of the others. So for you, Julia, when you think about these three guys, what are you looking forward to them doing on Monday?
I'm excited for them. I think I've been with these guys for all of the big major workouts. We've traveled together a lot. We did a lot of long runs together, and I've got to see them crush some workouts. And I know that both the Scotts are veterans and have placed very high at Boston, and I think they have a chance of even placing higher. And I'm super excited to be part of a team that has opportunity to do that. And then Rory, I think, is just ready to crush this marathon. You see some of his workouts, and it's very, very impressive. So I'm excited to celebrate after the marathon with these three guys as well.
Bobs, what about Julia? What is exciting about having somebody new on the team that's just learning all this stuff that she was just talking about, and what are you excited for her on Monday?
I think one thing that's been really exciting about having Julia on the team is, fans wouldn't think that like desire or wanting it in this sport is ever like lacking at the professional level, but it is. Like, you meet a lot of professionals who they're going through the motions and they've been doing this for a few years and they don't want it the same way. And it's been very clear from the start with Julia that wanting it is not an issue. Like, she wants it as bad or just as bad as anybody. And that's an infectious thing to be around, somebody who really, really wants to accomplish their goals and is willing to do everything she can and, be as professional as she can and take care of all of her bases in order to accomplish her goals. That attitude grows on itself. And it's been really cool to be around that a lot this block.
Awesome. Okay, Scott Smith. Julia mentioned some of the big sessions Rory's had. Tell us how fit Rory is and what you think about his race on Monday.
Oh, he's very fit. You think an unfit guy could wear a mustache like that? That should give you all the indication you need. He's confident enough to wear that around, man. Imagine what he'll do on Monday. But yeah, he's like, watching these guys do workouts. Well, I don't get to watch them because I'm so far back, but like hearing their splits at the end, I feel like, oh man, like, so I told him right after that 16-mile steady state he did, is like, that's, and I've been out at like Mary a lot. I've seen a lot of workouts out there over the last decade plus, and that was one of the best ones I'd ever seen. I told him, I was like, man, that was one of the best steady states I've ever seen, like right after. And it wasn't just like I wasn't in awe of the moment. I was like, you read his final time, I was like, that's up there with the best ones that I'm aware of, at least. And so I think he's very excited for Monday, and if he can contain that excitement and unleash it over the final stages of Boston, he's going to have a very successful day.
Well, that's very nice, Rory, huh? All these people think you're very fit.
Like that.
What have you learned from the Scots, and what are you looking forward to on Monday in terms of racing with them?
Yeah, so I ask a lot of questions of these guys. I try to pick their brains as much as I can because they clearly have tons of experience over me and have had more success than I have in this event, and that's no secret. So I always am asking these guys questions, and I'm always trying to key off them, and I feel like I can learn a lot from even like just the way Scott Smith approaches marathons and marathon training. He's got a really level head about everything. He keeps his emotions in check. He trusts himself very, very much so. And he doesn't need to prove himself in any other way other than he just knows, hey, I'm good at this and I'm going to show up and I'm going to compete. And that's all that really matters. And Fauble has really big goals for all these big races. And you can see him level up his intensity when a race like Boston is on the calendar, and there's just a lot of excitement in that. And then knowing that both these guys have been top 10 at this race and getting to train with them makes it feel realistic for me to shoot for some of those goals. And that's super exciting. And I know that they'll both be there and that they're going to leave it all out there. And I'm going to just try to key off them like I have throughout all of training and just trust that there's some comfort in like, hey, we've endured 8 to 10 to 12 weeks of marathon training together. Why can't we endure 26 more miles or 2 hours and some change?
Love it. Okay, 2 questions, and then we will roll forward into Boston movie trivia. So one of the questions, and anybody can raise their hand here, but why did you guys choose Boston over Chicago? Same weekend, obviously. Scott Fauble.
I chose Boston because I think I can win Boston, and whether that's this year or in the future, you got to give yourself as many cracks as you can at at winning one of these big races that in order to break through. You look at what some other people have done, Des, Meb, Shalane, like they ran Boston, New York as many times as they could because those are the ones that they felt like they had a shot to win. And you look at Chicago and it's probably going to be one in 205, 206. And I got a lot of self-belief, but I don't know if that's in the cards. But Boston, when I ran in 2019, I was there at 22 miles. Like I might've been a minute off the lead at the finish line, but I got there with a shot to win, and I'm going to keep going to races that I have a shot to win as opposed to chasing times. The times come from racing anyway. There's no reason you can't run fast at Boston or New York. So I'm going to these races where I have a shot to win, and I'm going to do it as many times as I can, as many, bites of the apple as possible.
Scott Smith, I think it's an interesting question for you because you've had success at both races. Chicago and Boston, you've run well in both spots. So why did you choose Boston?
It kind of as I get later in my career, and it's been a few years now of kind of asking myself these questions of like, what do I want to experience in the sport before I'm done with it? And that was one of the reasons for choosing Boston in 2018. And then of course, 2018 was the wild weather year. And I had a great experience, and it was still an incredible day. And I was really proud of myself for the effort I put forth. I don't feel like I got the full Boston experience that I kind of had seen over the years coming and running the 5K and watching and being there when Meb won and getting the whole city out to watch the marathon. It was because it was, people were smart and they didn't want to be out there on the course. And I've ran Chicago and I've been there to pace as well. And so I've got that experience and I've ran well there. But I really wanted to go back to Boston and kind of get the whole experience, I guess, is the main reason. And of course there's professional reasons that come into play. Choosing, which one is going to suit you and your bank account the best is also goes along with it.
Sure. let me do a different question. I'll throw this one at Julia and Rory, maybe everybody actually. Somebody just asked how many miles did you top out at before your taper? So I'll just go around the horn. Julia, highest mileage week this segment.
I had a couple that were 110, but that's
Rory?
the highest I got.
I was between 115 and 120 for about 5 weeks.
Scott Smith?
Probably 110. I don't keep a very detailed analytical log, but I'll go with what Julia said.
Scott Fauble?
I think I was 106.
Got it. So as you can
Probably
see,
106 then. I was probably 106.
as you can see, there's a little variety. Everybody's a little bit different. Different spots in their career, different physiological skill sets, and so not everybody does the exact same thing. But I would say on the big workouts, everybody here on this panel has done most of the same thing along the way for the big sessions. Okay, who's ready for Boston movie trivia? Here we go. Here's the way we're going to do it. I have a ton of questions here. I'm going to ask the question. You got to go hand up. So first one with the hand up gets called on. Now, no cheating, because if you get it wrong, you're going to lose a point. You get -1. So you can't just throw your hand up. You got to really know it.
I am doomed against these guys.
Yeah, how is anyone going to beat Scott?
Everyone's got to mute themselves so that no one's blurting out answers.
Nobody's going to blurt out an answer. We're okay.
They might be blurting out answers. Rory's going to cheat.
You can mute yourself if you wish. Jen is keeping track of the score. She's producing this program today. And, if you want to play along at home, that's fine. You guys aren't reading the chat, are you? Okay, no reading the chat for you guys.
I have been, but it's delayed about 15 seconds. So I don't think it'll be coming in.
All right. Here we go. So question number 1. Now, these are all Boston-based movies. So here we go. Who played Sean Parker in The Social Network? Scott Fauble.
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake is correct. 1 point for Fobs. Okay. Number 2, the song I'm Shipping Up to Boston, featured in The Departed, is sung by what Celtic punk band? Fobs.
Dropkick Murphys.
Correct. Scott, you were close on that one, Scott Smith.
Why
Okay.
can we go before? Like, I knew what you were going to ask. Can I go?
Yes, you
early?
can go as soon as you know.
Oh, okay. Even
Okay.
if you haven't finished the question.
You don't have to finish I don't have to finish the question.
All right. Well, that was the only one I was going to get, probably.
Okay. In the movie Good Will Hunting, what arbitrary food does Will suggest he and Skylar eat in Fauble? God darn it. Yeah.
Caramels.
Correct. Okay, I gotta pick one that everybody's got a shot at. Okay. I'm skipping this next one. Going to number 5. This actor produced and starred in the film Patriots Day about the tragic bombings at the. Okay, Scott.
Oh, no. I raised it when you said Patriot, and it's not even a Boston movie.
Okay, he's passing. Rory was next.
I'm going to go Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg is correct. Rory is on the board with 1. Okay. This Grammy-winning singer-songwriter sings Everybody Needs a Best Friend and makes a cameo in the movie Ted. Scott Smith.
No, I don't know it.
I don't know if that counts as a negative or not. He's done that twice now.
I don't care. Put me down for negatives.
All right. Going once, going twice. Sold. That is Nora Jones. Nora Jones makes an appearance in Ted. Okay. I'm counting on you here, Julia. This is a baseball question. This film, a remake of a British rom-com about a soccer-obsessed teacher, gave fans a glimpse into the life of a Red Sox season ticket holder played by Jimmy Fallon. Fobs.
Fever Pitch.
Correct. Has he got 4 now? Oh, man. All right.
Why is
don't
it just
watch
Boston movies? Like, why is it just movie trivia? That's heavily skewed towards Fauble.
Yeah, I don't watch movies. I'm done. I give myself 0.
But the fans, the fans are watching. Okay, they're playing along. All right. In the movie The Town, John Hamm's character, FBI agent Frawley, refers to Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner's gang by what nickname? Bob's.
The not fucking around crew.
That's correct. That is correct. That's 5 for Fauble. Fauble wins. Well, that was kind of anticlimactic. Do you want to play a couple more questions just for fun?
You're having fun? This is fun?
Just for fun. I really worked hard. For what Boston-based movie did Martin Scorsese win his only Best Director Oscar?
I mean, I know this. I'm going to let them have a shot though.
All right, what is it?
The Departed.
The Departed. Okay, good God. All right, here's a running one. This movie, though based in Canada, featured a climactic scene where the movie's main character, a 13-year-old boy, tries to win the Boston Marathon. Scott Smith.
St. Ralph.
Boom.
Yes.
This guy's crushing.
You know that, Scott? Did Scott know that?
I didn't.
Oh, how about that? Sean Penn and Tim Robbins won Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor for their roles in this 2003 mystery film set in Boston. What is it, Fobs?
Mystic River.
That's correct. All right, let me see if there's any other ones that other people will get. Okay, this is just a fun. This is my last one I'll ask. What's the last line in the movie Good Will Hunting? The last spoken line. Rory.
I had to see About a Girl.
Close. What does Robin Williams' character say after he reads that note?
He says he stole my line.
Yeah, he says, son of a bitch, stole my line. That's the last one. All right. Well, hopefully, Julia, this inspires you to watch some Boston-based movies.
I will say, in the week that we've been here, I've watched more movies than I have in the past year. So the guys are helping me.
What's the best movie you guys have watched in the last week, Julia?
Well, last night we watched a pretty funny one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes, very good. You had never seen that?
I had seen when it first came out, the beginning of it, but I had not seen it all the way through, and I kind of forgot that I had even seen it until we started watching it. So I count that as my first full time watching it. I'm not a movie buff like these guys. I'm trying though.
You're trying. Well, this has been good. We will look forward to seeing you guys in Boston next Monday. Appreciate everybody watching and listening once we get this out on the podcast circuit. I think that you guys will get to Boston on Thursday. There'll be some press conferences on Friday, and then we will race on Monday. Any final thoughts? Rory, you're certain that you're going to wear that mustache on Monday?
Don't you influence him. He's going to wear it.
I'm 85%. It's growing on me, literally and figuratively. I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more. It doesn't seem as foreign.
And how is it so dark?
Just for men.
That's great. All right, you guys, thanks for doing this on short notice. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys in Boston this weekend.
See ya.
Later.